Road to Glory, year number 9, one away from a decade. Um, Very early mock draft happening per request. So now that the NFL draft is over, we are in draft prep season. We're still about 3 months from the draft. I think I put it as August like 28th or something. I think it's a Friday night at 8. We have that set for now. If anything were to happen, we'll discuss that. But to go over the draft order here, as we can see, Evan, Andrew, Japes, Brett, Nihil, Gligo, me, McGill, Mirando, and Ethan. I do have some of the keepers put that I'm just gonna go with for now. I have me for this. I'm gonna do ETN in the 10th round. I'm gonna do Miranda with Bowers in the 10th round. I'm gonna do Galigo with Judkins in the ninth, Andrew with Puka in the second, Japes Olave in the eighth, Nihil Drake in the ninth. Brett, I'm gonna do Scattaboo in the ninth, Ethan Chase Brown in the ninth, Evan James Cook in the third, and McGill JT in the second. So a couple ninth round keepers there that we're gonna go by. I'm only doing 5 rounds. It's too early. Um, Everything's gonna shift and jump, so I'll just keep it updated. With All right, so Evan has the first pick, obviously. I put him just looking at his roster with James Cook as a third round pick. According to the Yahoo mocks, he's the number 10 overall player. He was the rushing leader, and he's been insane the last 2 years. Um, 11 pick value, I guess. So I'm gonna go with that. Obviously, I don't know who he's actually gonna keep. I'm sure he has some options, but I'm gonna go James Cook right here for Evan. With that being said, I think Evan will take Jamar Chase first overall, and I'll explain. Yes, last year, he was okay. Burrow was hurt. He still did okay. My whole thing is if you pay attention, the Bengals have like a pattern. Burrow's healthy one year, then he's hurt, then he's healthy, then he's hurt. Okay, well, Burrow's probably due for a healthy year this year. Their defense is still ass. Their front seven got a little better. I still don't think it's anything good. Um, I just think if Burrow, with the way that it's gone, you know, I think he's gonna have a healthy year. I just think if that's the case, Jamar is just gonna explode again, like he did. You saw 2 years ago when I had him. He had like 350 points, just insane, insane production. And that's going along with Evan having James Cook, another top 10 according to Yahoo player, value wise at 3. I just think that's the right pick. If that's the case, I think Andrew, then picks JSN. Um, Another good pick. You could argue he's the best fantasy receiver. You could argue that. Um, Putting him with Puka, you know, at that point, it's just going to be running back, probably running back 3 and 4, maybe even the next 3 rounds, unless he wants to get, another receiver that he can pair for his third. But having Puka and JSN, those guys are basically, you almost feel like 20 points a week at least. That's how you feel. Um, so potentially the two best receivers could be on a team. I would say you would have two of the top three receivers fantasy wise. But that leaves Japes with the big pick here. He's got Bijan and Gibbs. Uh, I personally do not know who he would pick here. My whole thing with looking at Bijan and Gibbs, I don't think you could go wrong. Personally, I think I would take Jahmyr Gibbs, and that's just because the Lions. score a lot more. There's more scoring chances. They did get rid of Montgomery. I know that they brought Pacheco in, but Pacheco's not as he is a physical back, but he's not Montgomery. Um, and I don't know. I just think given that, especially with Montgomery out of the picture, more scoring chances, I think Gibbs would be the better or at least safer pick. Bijan, I'm gonna assume Tua might be the quarterback. We did see how they used Achane. They get him the ball a lot, receiving wise, and I think you could argue Bijan's a better receiving back than Achane. But I'm not sure what Japes would do at this spot. Like I said, you can't really go wrong. I think he would probably go with Bijan. I'm gonna go Gibbs. Gibbs. More scoring chances, better overall offense. Um, I'm gonna go with Gibbs for Japes, which would leave Brett with Bijan. I think that's an easy pick for Brett. Then that brings in Nihil. At this point, you're looking at receiver wise, CD, Amon-Ra, Jefferson, McCaffrey. I think would be probably the pick. You know, we saw what happens. I mean, we all know what happens if he's healthy. Um, they brought in Mike Evans. Kittle's probably going to be out all of next year. Jawan Jennings is gone. He signed with Minnesota, I think. So the usage is still going to be there. It's just the risk reward. Obviously, the reward, if he's healthy, is worth it. Then we have Galigo. I think this is just a straight up pick for what the board has available. I just think CeeDee Lamb. Dallas is going to be competitive this year. Another high scoring offense. They throw the ball a lot. I know CD was hurt somewhat last year and Pickens kind of stepped in, but I expect CD to, go back to being the wide receiver one. And then at that point for me, it's painful not to consider Jefferson, but I'm really not. Um, I think I would just play it safe here and take Amon-Ra. And then McGill, I really don't know what McGill would do here. Um, you'd have Genty, Jefferson, Achane, Saquon. Um, I think McGill would probably go Achane or Saquon here. Um, Achane was a menace last year, new quarterback, new head coach. Not sure how that would shake it up. Barkley, we still know. Um, and Philly's kind of like a pattern team too, where they're ass and then they're good, and then they're ass and then they're good. Um, New OC, probably get Barkley the ball more. If they trade AJ Brown, you know, I just think his usage would probably be back up. Um, Achan or Barkley, I mean, both are in different situations at this point. Miami has more of like a running QB. I think McGill would risk it for Barkley. I mean, it's a boomer bust pick, and then I just think Miranda would take Achan. That would leave Ethan, who is keeping Chase Brown, so he does have a running back. Now that would leave Genty, Jefferson, Drake London, Rashee Rice. I personally think he would just pick between Jefferson or Genty. Um, Kyler probably will be the starter, which at this point would be a better option than McCarthy. Um, so I think it would be Jettis, and then I don't care. He's coming into the picture already. Like he's literally projected to be a second round pick in this mock. And I guess if you get Josh, you get into the playoffs. So, and then for Mirando's got Achan, his keeper's Bowers. Okay. Um, I also want to make a note that I am treating AJ Brown like he is on the Patriots. I don't care. But I also want to treat this like Mahomes is playing week one, which he is targeting. He did say he's targeting week one. If that's the case, just looking at the board, Genty, Drake London, Rashee Rice, Nico, I think Rashee's probably the pick if Mahomes is playing. Rashee's easily, you could say a top five fantasy receiver at that point, if Mahomes is healthy, which Mahomes did say he's targeting to play week one. And then for McGill, he's keeping Jonathan Taylor. That leaves me, so I'm picking. So I have technically a running back. I said I'd keep ETN. Um, so like Genty, Drake London, Nico. Um, Give me Kenneth Walker. I don't know. In the Chiefs offense, Boomer, I mean, I honestly I like it. So Galigo, he's keeping Judkins, so he is a receiver. I actually think he just goes back to who he had, and this is who I would pick if it wasn't Walker. I think he would take Trey McBride, who is disgusting. So Nihil's got McCaffrey, he's got Drake May. I do think Genty is probably the pick. Don't hate me. Nihil, I do think the offense has improved. Obviously, a new quarterback, new system. They did sign Linderbaum. They did bring in another left tackle. He showed spurts, of the potential. Their O-line just stink. I just think a new system, that should be good. And then you'll take a receiver, following up, but your running backs are all taken care of. And then Brett, I think here would actually, let's see, Brett's got Bijan and Scattaboo. Would Brett take Jeremiah Love? Would he take Drake London? Would he take Nico? I think Brett likes to have running backs. I do like Jeremiah Love here for Brett. And then Japes will go. So Japes has got Gibbs, Olave. Okay. Gibbs and Olave. So would Japes take London, Nico, Hampton? We've seen what Hampton can do. I think Japes would take Hampton, Marion Hampton. Andrew's gonna get Puka. Evan will most likely draft I don't know, actually. It could go either way. This might be a reach, but I think Evan takes Neighbors. We haven't seen him play with Dart yet. And he's going to be healthy, so. And then Cook, and then Andrew's going to go running back because he definitely needs a running back. We have Henry. I mean, we have Drake London, Pickens, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. I mean, we saw what Henry did at the end of last year. Like, he really hasn't lost anything. Japes is up. Japes probably gonna go receiver. I think Japes takes Drake London. Brett's gonna take Nico. So Brett will have Japes will have Gibbs, Hampton, London, Olave. Brett will have Bijan, Love, Nico, Scattaboo. Nihil here, I think I'm seeing AJ Brown. Patriots AJ Brown, we're saying. Galigo. So he's got receiver, tight end, and he's keeping Judkins. Okay. So Pickens wouldn't really make sense here. I think the good pick would actually be Josh Jacobs here. And then for me, I'd probably say fuck it and give me Pickens. So McGill's got Saquon and Taylor. He's probably going to need to go receiver as well. We have Ted, Devontae Smith, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Ladd, Devontae Adams. I really don't know who McGill would pick out of that bunch. Um, I mean, Ted's the clear number one. I think I would take Ted McMillan. Miranda, what do we got? HM Rice and then Bowers. HM Rice Bowers, okay. I think Miranda would take Garrett Wilson. Still actually throw the ball this time. Ethan, he's got Jefferson, Allen, Chase Brown. I think Ethan will take Kyron. So Kyron and Chase Brown, and then and I would say T. Higgins, because T. Higgins was actually gross last year too. So Miranda can go either way here. Receiver, running back. Looking at what he did last year, they did extend they're keeping him in place just and I'm looking at the rankings and where he is. I could see Miranda taking Javante here. having him again. McGill will probably go receiver. That would make sense. And I actually think I know that, the people hate on Hurts, but well, you have Barkley, would you pick Devontae Smith? He's gonna be the receiver one if AJ Brown leaves. I think it'd be worth it actually. That leaves me sort of in a weird spot here. Colson Loveland's really high, which is crazy. I'd probably pick a receiver, but like, if I could get me Devontae touchdown magnet. Um, yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about that pick, but whatever. Gully goes back up, so he's got CD, McBride, Jacobs. Okay, so he'll probably go receiver here, I would think. This is gonna sound crazy, but looking at the board, Jalen Waddle on Denver, and they like to throw the deep ball, I think is gonna be pretty good on them. And then Nihil, I like Nihil taking Lad. Brett, Brett's got Bijan, Love, Scattaboo, Nico. All right, so he would probably go receiver, I would think. I do think Brett would take Ibuka. I know he had him last year, but Mike Evans is gone. Godwin's still shaky. He's going to be the number one now without Evans, which I think is huge. And then Japes. Do I have any round four keepers? No. Okay. Japes has Gibbs, Hampton, London, Olave, which is solid. I really don't think anyone's really looking quarterback, honestly. And if you look at the receivers left, honestly, Japes, it's like Luther Burden, Terry, JMO, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. Bro, but if you're telling me Kittle's out, Juwan Jennings is gone, and you have him in a Shanahan offense, I don't know. That's just me, though. I really don't know who you'd pick there. Andrew, Puka, Jason, Henry. You could honestly go either way, too. Like Brees Hall, would you take Brees Hall, though? I think Ingram might take Bucky, which would be not a terrible pick. And Evan would take. I think Brees, and then Lamar. Now I don't know where Andrew would go because could add a third receiver, could add a tight end. Would Andrew pick Terry? I don't know. Zay Flowers, um, DJ Moore. But if you look how that year, I mean, no DJ Moore. He is the clear number one for Chicago now. I don't know if you would take Terry again. So Japes has got his three. It's not nobody's going to take Colston Loveland right now. I think Japes would look for a flex. I don't think he would go quarterback either, right? Where are we? I think Drake's projected to be the third. Oh, where's her? Oh, Hurts is there. Burrow, Hurts. I don't think Japes would take them. I think Japes would take another receiver just in case of Evans, maybe. Actually, I'm going to change my pick with Andrew. I think Andrew would take another running back. Dowdle's gone. Dowdle is out of Pittsburgh. He went to Pittsburgh, so I think Chuba would be back. And then I think Japes would go Roma Dunze at that point. Brett. I think Brett would go Marv. Nihil. What are we thinking here? She's got Drake. Probably could use another receiver, I would think. TJ Moore, Galigo, CD Waddle, Judkins. I think JMO. Then for me, I have ETN Walker, St. Brown. Maybe I give Terry another chance. I don't know. Probably bite me again, but McGill, I think, would have Zay again. Miranda's got Bowers, so I think Miranda would wait to take a quarterback with Ethan having one. Oh, would Miranda take a young guy? Miranda might hate me on this pick, but they did bring in Pittman. Ethan would definitely take him here. Metcalf. And then I think Ethan on a back-to-back here would go receiver. But I think before he would pick Tyler Warren. So he'd have Tyler Warren and then a receiver, which would kind of fill out his roster. That's what I have right now. The draft board's obviously probably going to look nothing like this. Um, obviously in a couple months, so we'll see how the board shifts out. That's just the first look in what I was looking at with Yahoo's player rankings. So that's gonna do it for now. Two quarterbacks through 5 rounds. I just think last year everyone saw, with Drake, Stafford, any quarterback can be good. So that's what we're gonna roll with. And I will get this sent on out right now.